Welcome to West Allis, we're open. I'm Emily Einigner, your guide to West Allis small business. Today we're at MKE CoWork with owner Matt Maurice. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm good. So you've been open officially for about a month now. How are things going?
About a month, August 17th, if I remember correctly. Things are going well. Anytime I think when we're talking about the COVID, we'll start right there. It's an interesting time for people to share office space, but I think we've been pleasantly surprised with some of the events and some of the people that are still coming out and have interest in the space. And really for us, I think the big thing right now is just getting people to understand what the space is and why folks would want to come out and use it, and then some of the precautions that we're taking to make sure people are comfortable.
And so what exactly is a co-work space?
I mean, our take on it is the modern flexible workspace. You see it on our sign, and that's kind of the tagline we've taken on it. But in 2020, we share our cars with Uber and Lyft. We share our houses with Airbnb and VRBO. And co-working is basically the same thing. It's sharing office space. So rather than renting your entire office space if you're a small business owner, or if you're somebody that works for another company, sharing a grade A office space, if you will, with other folks, not only gives you access to some amenities, meeting spaces, higher end furniture that maybe you wouldn't be able to afford otherwise, but really it's about the community. It's about coming to a place where there's other people sharing ideas, working from, and kind of gives you that boost of productivity that maybe if you're working from home or if you're isolated in an office you wouldn't otherwise have. And I think that's the piece really foundationally as to why we started the business was the most interesting to us. My business partner and I, we are entrepreneurs. We have a couple different ventures that we dabble in, and that community is something that we always looked for in our other ventures that we wanted to try to recreate here.
And what types of other entrepreneurs are looking for a co-work space? Like, who do you have in here?
It's pretty eclectic already. We've got a tax accountant that works out of here a couple days a week. We've got a gal that does marketing and branding, promotion, digital marketing type stuff. We've got a couple of real estate folks, which is one of the other businesses we're in, so that was kind of a natural tie into the business model, thinking that real estate folks would use it. But we've got a consultant is another one that would be pretty popular. A lot of folks that, if it's a small business that would work from home, it's usually a good fit. So if you're a manufacturing or you need a warehouse, it's probably not the right fit.
Right. If you need a lot of space,
not the right fit, right.
And how does it work? Say you're somebody, I know with COVID now there are these companies in big offices that are maybe just looking for a conference room or something. Can people rent it by the hour? Can they rent it just for a day, or do they have to be a member?
So that's one of the pivots that we're looking at. So originally the business model was our meeting spaces were going to be only for members, and it was exclusive so that nobody would monopolize the meeting room time. But with COVID, one of the things we're looking at is, was there a demand for people just to rent the meeting space, especially while we're a month in, we're still in our startup period. We figure it's going to probably take 12 to 18 months to get to full occupancy for the entire space. So during that period of time, we might be more apt to renting just the meeting space, or if somebody needed a private office for a day rather than renting it for an entire month. I think we'd be open to that, but long term, once we get to our occupancy level, the goal was that the entire space is just for members. So it's built for members by entrepreneurs, so people can just use those spaces and not have to worry about somebody monopolizing the meeting room time if they need to book it.
And what kind of spaces are available for people to rent? I know you've got just a desk, you have just offices.
Yeah, so it starts with a hot desk is what we call it, which is basically all the three different community areas where members can go. They can land anywhere that they like, where they feel comfortable that day, and that's the lowest tier option of membership. From there, you can rent a specific desk, so then you can put your own photos, computer monitors, whatever have you, and those desks are in a lockable room that only other folks with dedicated desks have access to, so it's a little bit more private. And then we have 3 private offices, which are designed for anywhere from 1 to 3 people. We have 2 team rooms that are up to 5 people, and then the room we're in right now would be our largest team room, which arguably is about 6 to 7. I think could fit in here pretty reasonably.
So you guys actually have an interesting feature to the building too, is that you have a garage out back that you don't use for cars. So what do you use the garage for?
Actually, just this morning we had an event out there. So it was originally planned for small events. 25 to 30 I think would probably be pushing it. We had 15 out there this morning and it was very, very comfortable even with social distancing. And the hope out there is to create that indoor-outdoor space where we can do networking breakfasts or happy hours, those types of events when weather permits. And just utilize more of the square footage of the building that we had. When events aren't going out there, that's the third place that also our general memberships can go. We have Wi-Fi access points out there as well, so Wi-Fi is super strong for people to do some work. One of the biggest things is if you're working from home and you don't have reliable internet, so we invested in fiber internet. So not only is it fast, but it's super, super reliable. It's supposed to be 99.9 something percent reliable. So you don't have to worry about that Zoom meeting cutting out on you. And one of the big things from a amenity standpoint that drew us to the West Allis area that nobody seems to know about is parking. We have 32 4-hour parking spots right behind our building, behind the garage. That's all free parking that people have access to. And when we were picking out the location, a lot of the other co-working spots in town are really hard to find. They're in strange buildings off in the corner that you have to pay for parking and it takes a while to find. Ours is retail frontage. It's easy to walk into if you can find a spot on Greenfield Avenue, or if you park right out back, it's super easy to get in and out.
And why did you choose West Allis to open up?
So I think this area just has a tremendous amount of opportunity. And I think it's sort of changing a little bit as of recent, as some of the older businesses that have been here for a long time are starting to retire and kind of move on, and you're starting to see a lot of transition of some newer ideas coming to the area. Certainly Ogden, Mandel, Cobalt, the big developers in town doing projects on either end of the downtown sort of made a lot of sense to, well, I'll go right in the middle and we'll do development right between all the big guys, and hopefully the area is going in the right direction. And I think it is, and I think it's always cautionary to say that it's going in the right direction to assume that it ever wasn't, but I do think it's changing. I think the landscape, the demographics of the area are going to continue to change, and then what the folks in the community want as far as businesses to support is going to continue to change. And co-working is a pretty modern idea. It's actually been around since the 80s in shared office space, but more recently termed co-working. And once again, that's one of our biggest struggles right now, is most of the people don't know what co-working is. So they see our name and they go, well, that place looks nice, but they wouldn't think to reach out as a potential option because they really don't understand what it is we do. So we're trying to get that word out there right now.
And so a little bit of a sidetrack here. So you're also on the board of the BID. And so what drove you to get involved with that organization?
Yeah, so I mean, my dad was part of a bid in, I think, Merton, out in Harlan area. And when I bought this building, I was aware that there was a bid in the downtown area. And I wanted to get involved to understand what was going on. Who are the people that I need to know? Can we collaboratively move this area in the right direction, and make sure that what we're building is going to tie into what the area wants. And I always felt the best way to do that was be part of the folks that know the most about, in this particular case, a 6-block Main and Greenfield Avenue.
So for someone looking for a co-work option, what's the pricing start at?
Yeah, so the general membership that I was talking about starts at $200 a month. That's our part-time kind of test the water option. You can find all of our pricing information. It's very transparent at mkecowork.com. On there you can also book your tour. You can find our blog with some tips on how to be more productive if you want to work from home. We try to keep everything we do with a little bit of a sense of humor, so it adds a little bit of an entertainment value as well.
Once again, we're at MKE CoWork. I want to thank Matt Maurice for taking the time to talk with us today. I'm Emily Einichner, and this is West Allis, We're Open.